Okay, one of the objectives today is to walk some pastures and give you a perspective of what we find there. Now, we all know you can't manage a system if you don't know what species that you're trying to manage. And so today we're going to take a walk across a common pasture that we find in this part of the country. We're going to point out some of the plants that are common, and then we're going to go into some detail on how you might identify them. All right, now in making an evaluation for this particular pasture, just to demonstrate the wide variety of plants that we find here, I'm going to make about a 40-foot walk, a pass through this pasture, and I'm just going to point out in a general way the species that I observe as I walk this trail. So standing right beside of me here is an example of bulbous buttercup. It's a winter annual weed that we find common in pastures every spring. It's just all over the countryside. Take one more step and there's another species here called annual bluegrass. As I said, it's an annual. It's quite common in many pastures that are unproductive and thin. The next step, some knotweed, another winter annual plant that is found in compacted soils and pastures that aren't very productive. Here's a clump of curly dock, a perennial plant that you almost always find in compacted, low producing sites in a pasture. It's not usually very common throughout a well-managed pasture. Take another step or two, and this whole area here is white clover. Chances are this is an intermediate type of white clover. It's a perennial legume that's found common all over the eastern part of the country, and it's a very desirable species to find in pastures. One more step, here is a clump of tall fescue, a cool season perennial grass that probably makes up the largest proportion of the pastures in North Carolina and in the east, really. A perennial grass that's managed on many farms. Ryegrass. Here's an annual ryegrass plant. It's a very high quality grass. It is an annual, but it does die here in another month, and it'll leave a void in a pasture unless you're managing it as a pure stand. One more step, some Bermuda grass. This is probably a common type of Bermuda grass, a perennial, a warm season grass that's found in many pastures in the southeastern part of the country. A very desirable plant on livestock farms. And just right within a few inches of that Bermuda grass is another weed, a perennial weed that's called horse nettle. Very difficult to control, very undesirable species in any pasture. Two steps over is a seedling pigweed. Yes, it is a spiny amaranth, another annual species that's found in heavy compacted areas in pastures, usually not a problem in well-managed pastures where the vegetation of desirables is dense. Let's see, walk another little piece here. Okay, here is another common weed found in many pastures that have low fertility, and this is a buckhorn plantain, a perennial, cool season that's flowering right now in the month of May, and then the seed head will fall off, but the plant is still persist in this area.